Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. You're enjoying your day, sweetie? If not, then what the hell ever. So, a bit of an obscure topic of sorts, but I was thinking about something recently that kind of feels a little weird in wrestling, and that's this undefeated streak trope that wrestlers have when they debut. And this whole thing is going to be talking in that format, so I'm not going to talk about, like, undefeated streaks for like a certain period of time, like a win streak. Not going to talk about like Undertaker's undefeated streak. I mean, somebody debuts and then they go this long winning streak upon debut until eventually it ends. And this is because we see a good pattern with a lot of these guys who get presented that way and then just suddenly they lose their undefeated streak and then things are never the same. So I got one WCW name on here and then the rest are WWE with different things I want to bring up involving their booking afterwards. So, Goldberg. We know the inflated 173-0 record went from his televised debut in September 97 against Hugh Morris, because haha, that's funny, all the way until Starrcade 98 where they tried to protect him because, the cattle prod got put into effect, Jackknife Powerbomb, Goldberg's streak ends. Now, they did a fantastic job building up Goldberg. He was like a newer talent, a legit homegrown name that happened there in WCW during a time when the bigger guys that came in from over in New York came over and took over and stuff. But you notice that after Goldberg's undefeated streak ended there, the booking felt really inconsistent to where it felt like they had no real direction there because Goldberg's whole mystique was that, hey, he's impervious to pain, he can take like a chair shot to the head from La Parka, he can just shrug everything off and just take down anybody. But then what really happened with him afterwards? Like, I think he became world champion one, maybe two more times at most. You had the stupid heel turn in 2000 where that just did not make sense. He got himself injured with the forearm through the hearse and everything. It's just like, his booking and feeling just did not feel like it had a direction afterwards. Like, end the streak, and then they're just like, okay, now what? And they couldn't have that figured out. Now, one name I can say that they had in a defeated streak end that did not become horrible afterwards was Brock. Because he had his first match around Backlash 2002 when he destroyed Jeff Hardy, beat him via knockout. And in terms of one-on-one matches, he would not lose until Survivor Series when he lost the WWE title to Big Show because Paul Heyman turned on him. They had a steel chair used and everything. So they used that as another way to protect Brock. And they at least had plans afterwards with him. Because now he's going on, trying to get revenge on Heyman for turning on him. He wants to go after the WWE Championship and going against Kurt Angle. So they at least kept him in prominent positions afterwards with that protected finish when his streak ended to where it did not harm him. Did not feel like they just hot-shotted the whole thing and did not think it through afterwards. So Brock, I can say, is a rare example where everything turned out fine. But then you get to a weird one. Mr. I love WWE, Vladimir Kozlov. So, he came around on television in terms of an active character who had matches, so not including the whole I love WWE programs and everything, from April 2008 until March of 2009. He had this almost 1 year undefeated streak, which even included a clean victory over The Undertaker on SmackDown. But then in March of 2009, I wrote it down here, he lost to Shawn Michaels 1-on-1, so it was his first singles televised loss. And that was a match where Shawn won, so he got to face Undertaker at WrestleMania. But it's like with Kozlov, they did little to nothing really of significance afterwards, because maybe the company lost faith in him when we had that terrible match at Survivor Series 08. Because it's like, yeah, he later aligned with Ezekiel Jackson and William Regal on ECW, but that was it, because then afterwards he's doing comedy stuff with Santino Marella. And if you know, in wrestling, when you're at that comedy character level, it's not really looked at on the high regards compared to other characters that are taken more seriously. You know, compared to names like Batista and John Cena, Triple H, etc. You know what I mean? So Kozlov, it's just once that undefeated streak ended, it was just nothing. Umaga, or as good old William Regal, it says Umaga. He came in April 2006, feuded with Flair to start. He bulldozed over, and rightfully so, the Simone bulldozer, he just completely demolished everybody in his path. People like Kane, going after Ric Flair like I just mentioned before. He attacked Maria. He was destroying everybody humanly possible. And then he feuded with Cena. New Year's Revolution 2007, he gets beaten with a schoolboy roll-up, one of the most generic-looking roll-up moves to do, and that beat the undefeated Samoan Bulldozer after 9 months. And then they had the last man standing match afterwards, the Royal Rumble, which is also great. And then Umaga really hit that brick wall, because I know between this and the end of his time in WWE a couple years later, he had 2 wellness policy violations that led to his release. But he never got the chance to really fully surpass the mid-card, despite the whole undefeated streak and just being a complete savage. Because, like, again, right after his feud ended with Cena, he was Intercontinental Champion, kind of bouncing around with that championship, feuding with Jeff Hardy and everything. And the whole thing they had with him is that he doesn't speak English, but then his last feud, he's feuding with Punk, and he spoke English to challenge him to a Samoan strap match at Extreme Rules. So it's like, Umaga, it's like, yeah, he still looks intimidating, but they never got him past the mid-card for one reason or another. Because I know when he got his first wellness policy suspension, it was after SummerSlam that year in 2007. So for whatever reason, they just never trusted him to get past that point. Tatanka, I've already covered this, but we're not going to be talking about 2005-2006 run because that was a nightmare. But he debuted in February of 92, and his undefeated streak ended in October of 93, when he lost to Ludwig Borga, Mr. Finland himself, with one finger on his chest. It's over a year and a half undefeated streak, and it's over. And it's a rare time where they're giving a real big, special undefeated streak to a babyface. Because usually you do it to the heel. It's like, hey, I can't be stopped. I'm destroying everybody. I'm hurting everybody you love. And it's like, with this, after with Tatanka, for the next year, he did absolutely nothing. Because, like, WrestleMania 10, he's supposed to have been in a tag match. That got bumped. And, like, the next feud that he got into that actually people remember was the whole thing with Lex Luger being like, oh, who sold out to $1 Million Corporation? Oh, it was Tatanka. And then that did him no favors. Because, like, he had to try to cut some promos, and we established when I talked about his losing streak from 05 to 07 that, yeah, he can't cut a promo. No matter how long he's been in the business, let's be real here. So it's just like they did nothing with him, they turned him heel, and then they continued to do nothing with him of significance. Just, oh, he's another pawn in the $1 Million Corporation. So, just nothing. The Great Khali. Yeah, we remember him. Mr. Blah! Came in April 2006. A month later, he gets a clean victory over The Undertaker. That was a big deal at that point. It's like, The Undertaker, he was still, like, raring to go, having great matches and everything. But he beats The Undertaker at Judgment Day. And I know his technical first loss, it was the last man standing match that happened before SummerSlam. It was supposed to happen at the pay-per-view. But in terms of being in the ring like pinfall or submission, this would not happen until he tapped out at Judgment Day 2007 to Cena. But they gave a technicality saying, hey, upon replay, we showed the next night, his foot was technically under the bottom rope, so it should have not been counted. So they have the rematch One Night Stand, and that's where Cena gave him the old fuck you off the crane and pinned him in the Falls Count Anywhere match. So it was his first decisive, clean loss fall there whatsoever. Now, yes, they did at least continue with Khali because, like, afterwards they brought him over to SmackDown, and he became World Heavyweight Champion after Edge had to vacate the title due to his pectoral muscle injury. So at least they did something to continue the momentum in terms of him being like a big heel, heat, and having heat and all that stuff, even though his reign sucked. And then he just started to do absolutely nothing again afterwards. So you have mini feuds. He turns babyface. He's doing the kiss cam and wearing magenta pants that looks like that magenta dog from Blue's Clues. He's dancing around being like, and then I still don't understand the whole thing, that alliance that he had with Natalya and Hornswoggle. Like, I know they tried rebuilding him a slight bit as a monstrous heel again when they aligned him with Jinder Mahal, because, oh, he's married to your sister, and if you make him mad, he'll send her into poverty by divorcing her. And then they just dropped that. So it's like Khali, they put him into the comedy character just a couple years after this whole thing ended with his undefeated streak. So it's like, yeah, you had the World Heavyweight title, but then you did the same thing in Kozlov, where it's just like, we got no real plans, let's just make people laugh at you. Rusev. This was a promising guy. Like, big Bulgarian dude, waving the flag around, destroying America. He wins the U.S. title while going on his undefeated streak ever since he debuted on the main roster in 2014. And then who beat him at WrestleMania? The same guy who beat Umaga, John Cena! And all that. So, and then, like, I like Rusev. Like, I think he's a good dude. But it's like, they did him no favors after this, because, like, his career never truly got the chance to ride a wave of momentum. Because it's like, the feud with Cena ended where he never got his, like, revenge on Cena. The whole feud with Dolph Ziggler, Summer Rae, and Lana, that was really cringeworthy. The stuff with Lana and Bobby Lashley. He got a haircut and pissed off officials, so he got squashed by Big Show. It's like, yeah, they did the whole Rusev Day thing and everything, which got over as hell. But Vince, being in denial, being like, oh, damn it, pal, they're mocking you, ha ha! It's like, how out of touch are you? You're making that Hall & Oates song sound so prevalent to you, Vinnie Mac. Oh, it's such good shit. Well, Vince, your brains are shit, alright, but it's not such a good kind, especially when it comes to this. Just like Rusev's career never recovered after this in terms of doing anything of significance. I know he was supposed to have gotten a shot at the WWE Championship. I think it was like Money in the Bank 2017. Because like I know it was before they suddenly changed their minds and put it on Jinder. But they had plans for him to challenge for the WWE title again. And I know he also did the next year at Extreme Rules 2018 against AJ Styles. But it's just like, ever since like that feud with Cena ended, and then the cringeworthy feuds and all that other stuff, it's just like, it felt like they never believed him anymore. And it's just like, it went off a cliff from there. Asuka. This is a prevalent one because this woman, I believe she may be gone or semi-retired, depending on what the reports say, because we still don't have a clear, concrete answer at the time of recording this. She debuted on NXT in October 2015, like in terms of her first match, and she would go on a 2.5-year undefeated streak. One of the longest undefeated streaks in history of wrestling, and especially the longest one for a woman. And then what happened to WrestleMania 34? Because like after a few months after she debuted on the main roster, her undefeated streak gets beaten by Charlotte. Me won a title match. Woo woo. You know that one. So it's just like nobody else could beat Asuka, and yet her undefeated streak is ended cleanly 1-on-1 by Charlotte. And yeah, Asuka, she would keep bouncing around with championships afterwards and everything. The face paint, everything was a cool design that she would have afterwards. But it's just like, it never felt like she was shown in a dominant light ever again. Like, you look at her WrestleMania history. She never won a match at Mania. And that's ridiculous. You go from undefeated streak for 2.5 years, but then you never win a match on the grandest stage of them all. It's just like, I don't get it. It's beyond weird. And then the last one I'm going to bring up. It's not the worst case, but it's a case where nothing escalated afterwards. And that's Mr. Perfect. Debuted in July of 88, and then by, I believe it said March of 1990, his undefeated streak ended on television. And Mr. Perfect, everybody agrees in retrospect, he's one of the greatest in-ring guys ever, and one of the best names to never be world champion. Because, like, you look at the matches that he's had over his career, like, especially the matches with Brett, those are absolutely incredible. Like, one of the best guys, like, at selling in-ring psychology and stuff like that, he was amazing. But even after that undefeated streak ended, even after he's putting all these banger matches on, he never got the chance to be world champion. Yeah, he feuded with Hulk Hogan before. You had the whole thing with him smashing the Wing Eagle belt with the hammer and everything, which was pretty crazy. But he never got a chance to even be escalated afterwards. I know there were injuries and everything that happened. Maybe those were playing a factor and everything afterwards. Because, like, we remember 91, he had a busted tailbone going into the match. But it's just like, it's one of those cases where it's like, it's a big shame they did nothing afterwards, despite being a world-class talent. So yeah, I'm hoping everybody's seeing a pattern. It's just like, you see most of these names, and probably a bunch of others that I didn't easily jot down right off the top of my head, that it's like, a lot of these cases, like, you have an undefeated streak end, and then there's no plans afterwards to try to, like, keep, like, their credibility going. Because, like, you get the dose to, like, having no clear direction, you're put in a comedy role, you just have a bunch of bad matches. You're just there. I mean, even I almost forgot. Even Ryback, they had him undefeated streak, like an undefeated streak of sorts for like a year, without him getting pinned or anything. And the next thing you know, like he loses in the Hell in a Cell match to Punk, and then again off a cliff. Yeah, they try to rebuild him again by making him heel and everything for Cena and the feud there, but nothing to really give him that like credibility back to where people would think that he could be world champion again. I mean, you even look at the end of his WWE career in 2016, he was feuding on pre-shows of pay-per-views against Kalisto for the U.S. title. And by that point, he just went with tights instead of a singlet. But just let me know in the comment section below, what do you all think about this whole thing about wrestlers having undefeated streaks and then what we see with them afterwards? Because, like, again, it's a weird pattern. It's like, yeah, you want to build somebody up, give them name recognition, make people believe in them. But it's like, once you end that streak, because like it has in at some point, like in a decisive way, not including like countouts or disqualification or anything, what do you do afterwards? Because a lot of these cases, it's a case of just, we got no plans, we don't know how to keep going. It's like they completely forget what makes a formula work or keeps the guy over and relevant. But yeah, let me know what you all thought in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast, folks, please remember, leave a like, subscribe to the bell, turn on here on YouTube, comment what you thought below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening, folks. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good day, everybody.